Welcome back to the Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, D-Palm. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. Follow the entire MTR network at the MTR network. One-stop shop for everything you need in the world, guys. Like, honestly, at this point, we've got shows about TV, video games, comics, movies, obviously sports. Then behind the premium side, more of the same. Plus, there's always the flagship show, The Insanity Check, which I have now been banned from until after the midterms, because apparently whenever Joy and I are on there, either as guests, alone or together, the world turns to shit. I'm doing this for all of you. You're all very welcome. And the one thing you can do for me in return is go to Stitcher right now. Sign up for Stitcher Premium. Use the code Tuesday as it's our code. It gives you a month of free Stitcher. So what that is all your Stitcher podcasts that you love, listen to them ad-free for the month for free on us. You're welcome. Also, there's exclusive Stitcher content. Like my man, what's his name? Sam Roberts. He's got a show on Stitcher now. He has a bonus show on Stitcher that's only available for Stitcher Premium. This is a great way to get a taste of that kind of content. Decide if you want to go monthly on Stitcher. The impetus behind this is Marvel has dropped their very first character-focused podcast, Wolverine: The Long Night. It's a 12-part series, I believe, and it's a story being told there, or 10 episodes, excuse me. I've joined Stitcher Premium. I'm backloading these because we're headed to my wife's family's for Easter this weekend, and I think that I'll be able to crank some out either there or on the way. I don't think she's going to listen to the wrestling podcast, but we'll see. So either I'm going to get accused of something on that or not. That was a gamble. Shit. Speaking of gambles, I am allowing Cameron Hawkins at Seahawk on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and everywhere else you can find foolishness on the internet back on my airwaves twice in a month. Cam, I'll be honest, I didn't realize you'd been on earlier this month until I opened the DM and I was like, shit, it's too late to not invite him.
I just thought there was such a demand for me to be back that you had.
I want you to know that wasn't it. For me, that you know.
Like, since early this morning, I've been plotting on a way to make sure I'm not invited back, and I think I figured it out. You want to hear it?
No.
Okay.
What do you got? Shoot.
Okay. So, D-Palm, they've pushed back the new X-Men movie and new Mutants movie. How do you feel?
If you have questions about these things, please
just ruin your future content as fast as I can.
So we're recording our monthly mailbag. This is a quick detour and also letting me plug something. We're recording our monthly mailbag at the time you're listening to this tonight. So if you have any questions that you want answered about the world of comic books, gaming, movies, email us at mailbag@mcrnetwork.net. I'll tell you what, man. I have a rant, and it's locked and loaded, and it's ready to fly. This is going to be a good mailbag. It might be 4 hours long, but it's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in. All right. So, Cam, I'm going to be honest with you, man. People say, oh, March Madness, you must love it. You're a sports podcast. I don't watch college basketball. It's ridiculous. 16's beating ones. Everyone's cheering. Meanwhile, they're paying these people millions of dollars to tell us why these kids won't fail. When they do fail, they then blame the kids and then go home and cash the checks. It makes no sense to me. I refuse to cover it. And besides, honestly, this time of year, late March, early April, that's Mania season. That's the madness.
Yeah.
What's more exciting? Loyola, whatever, getting hyped with some nun, or Daniel Bryan having the entire Superdome chant yes.
Well, who is the nun? Never mind. It's Daniel Bryan.
Some mascot lady everyone's getting hyped about that people will forget.
No. I was asking you which nun specifically, because if it's like Sister Mary Clarence from Sister Act, then it's a different story. But no, I'm not a March Madness guy. I'm not a college basketball guy. I think that
like quality sports.
Yeah, football is that thing where even if you don't have the best players on the field, so much of it can be scheme that it can still look aesthetically pleasing. You can have very good college basketball players put up a 42-39 game that I'm supposed to care about. It's not good.
Every year in the national championship game, I make the same joke. First one to 70 wins. Lo and behold, every year, first one to 70 wins. And I'll tell you this other thing. College football is different because I think college football, honestly, is a different sport than NFL football. I watched 1 minute of a tournament game this year. I watched 3 missed layups. Done. Out. No thanks.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I like that people get excited over it. I do like watching the national championship game usually, but everything else, if my alma mater's not in it, not here for it.
Oh, and my alma mater is never in it. Columbia's never going. It's fine. I'll tell you this, though. I'll watch the championship game if only to count the number of all-star teams that no one on that floor is going to make ever. Like, I almost got in a knockdown, drag-out fight with one of my best friends one of the years UConn won. I was like, Jeremy Lamb will not only not make an all-star team in the NBA, he may never start.
He's hit a lot of threes on my 2K14 team, and that's about it.
I hate you so much. All right, so the reason I have Cam on is not because we're both going to rag on NCAA basketball, though I think we could make a podcast out of it. This episode's happening because, honestly, it's the Facebook data breach. And people say data breach when, honestly, we gave them the information for free. People just use it in ways that we didn't like, and stupid people were manipulated by that information. And if you were manipulated by information taken about you, I'm calling you a stupid person. Sorry. Anyway, I think they didn't just hack Facebook for Cambridge. I think they hacked it for last week. Because last week was like the D-Palm perfect week. It opened with Daniel Bryan's return to the ring. It continued with Mark Henry's enshrinement into the Hall of Fame, and it ended with you reminding everyone why Hulk Hogan belongs in the trash. We're going to start with the good, head to the great, and end with the ugly. Let's talk first. Cam, you work with PWTorch, the preeminent pro wrestling site on the internet, one of the oldest voices in pro wrestling. I'm insanely jealous you get to do things there, and I'm waiting for my invitation to the East Coast cast as you've been on my airwaves twice in a month. Anyway, I got to ask, you've been around a lot. You've seen a lot of this pro wrestling thing. Daniel Bryan's return. Knee-jerk reaction. Were you happy, sad, excited, a little worried?
Worry was my initial reaction. I was lucky enough to where, Monday was my anniversary. The 19th was my anniversary. And so when Wade Keller asked me to do the Raw post show that night, I couldn't do it. Look at me pushing back pushing back career for relationship. I'm a great guy. So Rich actually took my spot on the Monday show, so I ended up doing the Tuesday show. And of course, Tuesday during the day, it breaks that Daniel Bryan's coming back. So it was just a perfect storm for me. It worked out great. And I got to take a bunch of calls and have a poll up, and most people were excited. My initial reaction was worry because, boy, I was there at WrestleMania 30, great culmination. He has to leave shortly after. WrestleMania 31, he wins that ladder match, has to leave shortly after. Just like you, I lived through Chris Benoit. We've seen all kinds of crazy neck injuries and head injuries, being wrestling fans, being football fans. Like we've seen this stuff. And, the fact that he was cleared, initially I was like, man, I don't see him as a guy who can stop wrestling the style that he's wrestled. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to watch everything he does and cringe.
And to catch everyone up, if you're not a wrestling fan, first of all, shame on you. It's the only true form of live theater in the round that exists in the world today. Anyway, to catch everyone up, Daniel Bryan was an infamously undersized, underappreciated wrestler who, on the strength of the support from the fans and some timely quittings of the company, found his way into the main event of the largest event at the time in WWE history. WrestleMania 30 was the culmination of Vince's dream from 1984. It took over New Orleans for a weekend. It was amazing. It was well done. And the image of Daniel Bryan at the end of that match holding those titles is burned on every fan's retinas. Shortly thereafter winning the titles, he unfortunately lost his father. He married his lovely wife Brie, but he did lose his father. And then 2 weeks later, he was told he had to abdicate his belt because of, like you said, a neck injury. So for a long time, people were worried about Bryan because it was well chronicled that on the indies, he'd had, let's just say, a lot of concussions. He'd involved himself in a headbutt match with Nigel McGuinness where he'd actually detached his retina and then wrestled the next night because Ring of Honor's crazy and Daniel Bryan's a psycho. So people saying, oh, Bryan's got concussions and neck issues, that all seemed legitimate and real. So Bryan eventually worked his way back. They weren't going to put the big belt on him because you really can't. But they did involve him, like Cam mentioned, in the Intercontinental title ladder match last year. However, shortly after that match, he announced in Seattle, close to his hometown of Aberdeen, that he was being forced to retire due to the number of concussions he had suffered. It was a very emotional night. All Daniel Bryan's family and friends were there. It's one of the best promos I've ever seen. And for a long time, Bryan kept himself away from wrestling. In the last 2 years, he's kind of worked his way back in via both commentating on the Cruiserweight Classic on the WWE Network for $19.99, but also portraying an on-air authority figure as a SmackDown Live general manager or commissioner, or I honestly don't care. The bottom line is Bryan's been, it's one of those things that we're like, I try to liken it to if someone had to retire from football, but they also became the lead announcer for Monday Night Football. Like, it wasn't something where we forgot about Bryan. He was in our living rooms every Tuesday. And so to watch him come back, I understand where you say you were worried. I think, honestly, as a former player, that's where my head went first, too. But I also realized that the WWE is a publicly traded company that has, like you said, endured the Crispin laws and the current ongoing lawsuit, which is probably the reason the Bushwhackers will never go in the hall. And so for me, I went from worried to optimistic pretty quickly because they aren't going to do this on a whim. They aren't going to do this because Bryan really, really wants to wrestle. They've seen something or been a party to something or knowledgeable about something that I like knowing that they know more than I do.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that Bryan didn't take the initial diagnosis, quote unquote, lying down. Terrible pun. And in his return promo, he gave a good speech about fighting for your dreams. And one of the things Bryan did was he kind of pushed the boundaries and pushed the limits of what we know about head injury and concussion study. While it is agreed on what causes concussions, some of the long-term effects and some of the remedies aren't quite as well investigated. So Bryan went to all these specialists and saw all these people and was cleared by everyone except for the WWE's doctors. They cleared him last week. He'll presumably be playing a role in WrestleMania. Presumably what role, we don't know because of certain things that happen outside the ring. But now that you've overcome kind of the worry, Cam, are you on the excitement train?
I am, and I have to give in because when it first happens, again, I'm nervous, I'm worried. I look at everybody else's excitement and think they're being callous,
right.
But as soon as he hits that first flipping drop kick, man,
it's like, oh wow, I didn't know I missed him this much.
I was all the way dialed in. The best thing I think that could happen the first night is for him to be able to work with a Sami Zayn and a Kevin Owens, who have just impeccable timing, and they just made everything look great. And you wanted Bryan to be okay, and they give you a bump you don't know if he can take, but then he does it, and you know in real life he's fine afterward. They've got me. They've got me. It's hard to be objective when you're such a big fan of a guy. They have me.
I think it was a really good decision, if not a little ballsy, to do the apron bump as the opening spot of his return. It's not. It looks vicious. I've never been in the square circle, but I have talked to people who have. Not a particularly tough bump to take, apparently. If you'll remember, Sammy took it going into his shoulder surgery in NXT. Like, he took it as a write-off at that angle. So it's not it's a vicious looking bump, but there are worse bumps to take. And the word out of the Wrestling Observer, I don't know how true it is, word to Bruce Pritchard, that Bryan's going to be doing impact testing after all of his matches. And that's something that, honestly, I would expect from the WWE because the spotlight on them has been so bright regarding concussions, and because generally, we can say what we want about Vince McMahon, this is a guy who has paid out of pocket for ex-wrestlers' rehabs. Like, this guy, he doesn't want people dying on his watch. Like, whether we say it's for monetary reasons and image reasons or because he cares, it doesn't matter. He still does it.
Yeah, they definitely need credit for, like you said, being publicly traded, wanting to minimize any type of lawsuit or scandal as best they can. And so, even though I don't trust them to handle things like, race, religion, relationships
or DUIs.
Women, or DUIs. Well, that's a different conversation.
But,
even though, I mean, on the surface, I don't know, how well they understand things, but they understand money out of their pocket. And so, and not to even be so callous. I mean, I feel like most doctors are inherently good people and want what's best for the people they care for. And so, you have to believe he's in good hands. And it's not like they brought him back a year later. They took years to make sure the diagnosis was right. And so, I wish him all the best. I'm happy to see somebody, living out their dreams, and I'm happy that we get to witness it.
It was messy, like, for people who weren't following it. It got public. Like, Bryan is notoriously known as a very honest interview. And he wasn't biting his tongue for the last 2 years. It's been, oh no, I'm cleared. They just won't clear me.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been like a toe the company line, Brian. It turned into that more recently when I think that we're getting closer. I, for one, don't believe it's a shoot he found out Tuesday morning. I don't believe he found out Monday morning. I believe it's been working for a while. And, and good. And my rule for wrestling has always been, if you see it on TV, you're supposed to see it. So when they released a press release at 2:00 on a Tuesday, leading into SmackDown about Bryan returning to the ring, that's all calculated, and I personally am fine with that. They aren't a real sports organization. They shouldn't hold themselves accordingly. Like they shouldn't be letting out the injury information on Roman Reigns so I can adjust my betting lines. That's ridiculous. But I think that what we know now makes me more confident about what's coming next. And what's coming next to be pretty delicious. This is a WWE that has a roster that is chock full of people who either A, we've wanted to see Bryan work with, or B, we've seen Bryan work with and we know it can be beautiful. We're talking matchups we've never seen in the WWE ring. Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. Daniel Bryan versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Hell, a match that I believe we're getting in a couple Sundays, Bryan versus Sammy or Kevin Owens. Their paths never crossed.
Yeah, I'm like personally, I think him and Sammy aesthetically kind of having a similar look, kind of being those smaller, quickish guys with the stiff kicks. That's something I want to see right out the gate. If you need something for Dolph Ziggler to do and you like watching him do things sometimes, maybe that would be cool. But yeah, the big matches, you have whatever. People have been pitching to me that Ziggler should be Daniel Bryan's partner because he's, part of the story and it makes sense. I'm like, but that means I have to watch him. So
okay, you say that. I'll do this. I love their matches. I think those two against each other have great. Remember that match after 31? It was the two of them IC title for the title from the ladder match the night before. It was in Santa Clara, but they went out and just put on. And like it was one of those rowdy post Wrestlemania I hate Raw crowds, and they stole them. Mm-hmm. They shut them up. It was amazing. Yeah. So while you may have a personal distaste for Billy Gunn 2.0, I think that there's.
I think it's universal now. I really think that it's not just me. I think he's mid to everybody, and it's not his fault. He's very good in the ring. He's just He's just only very good in the ring, and that can only do so much when they've had to look at you for a decade. So, whatever.
Can I be kind of messy here?
Sure.
Is it okay that Bryan's head got hurt if it gave us 2 years for him to work on his promo? Because his return promo was flames. I was like, this guy has got. When I look at what he did on the Cruiserweight Classic, and I look what he's done week in and week out as a GM of SmackDown, and I look at that return promo. He's kind of this is the thing that we never got out of Bret, and I'm a Bret Hart guy, and fight me if you want to. I'm a Bret Hart guy, but this is the aspect that Bret would never really turn that corner, the consistent promo. You'd have the occasional great promo from Bret, the one after Survivor Series, after WrestleMania 13, that was a great promo when he turned heel. The Ric Flair Bret Hart promo that no one remembers but me and WCW, where Ric Flair looks Bret Hart in the eye and says, say that thing you say. That thing, the best year's thing. Yeah, say that thing to my face. And I think Bryan kind of maybe could find his level way higher than Bret's on the mic. Am I crazy to think that?
No, because I think we're going to be in a situation now, kind of the third or fourth go round, depending on how you're keeping score, where Daniel Bryan is not going to be dumbed down. He's not going to be put down. We're not going to talk about his looks. We're not going to talk about his size. We're not going to talk about the intangibles he doesn't have. They're going to treat him like the audience treats him, like a full-fledged, top-notch superstar, because he's going to get that reaction. He's going to sell that merchandise. He's going to put on the matches that people are going to get your network for. I think that they're going to give him all the tools that he needs. And like you said, there's all these dream matches for him to have. And so I think when you have all these new people to go against, you're not just looking at, Randy Orton in the mouth in year 7 of Randy Orton's 10-year, binge of putting on the 2.5-star match. like the landscape's different. He's a kid at a brand new school. Yeah, I just think you're going to get the best out of him promo-wise as well, because he's going to express time and time again his need to be there, his desire to be there, and how people are not going to stand in his way. I just think you're going to get quality Bryan for as long as we have him.
I couldn't agree more. And before we move on to our next topic, I do want to say one thing to you. Daniel Bryan, Kurt Angle. Anyway, oh my. Apparently Bryan's been watching Zack Sabre Jr. matches to get ready for his return, which I'm a wrestling nerd, and I'm very excited for this. Topic number 2 for the day. Mark Henry, a.k.a. Sexual Chocolate, has been announced as the last announced name to go in the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Now, regardless of how you feel about a worked Hall of Fame, about a worked entertainment product, this is a big deal. He was the last person to truly come through the dungeon. He was one of the first completely green signings by Vince McMahon in the mid-90s. And he went from wearing an Olympic jumpsuit on air and wrestling Jerry Lawler to wearing a salmon-colored jacket and going on his Hall of Fame run, which I unfortunately missed out on live because I wasn't watching wrestling then. Cam, you've got a much, I'd say, stronger grasp on his career. How does this entrance feel for you?
I mean, the thing is, and I feel like this always happens when I'm on with you, there's always some type of personal connection. Like, he lives here. And so Mark Henry's like around. My barber always tells me the story about how he's shooting pool at the one of the big shopping centers we have, and Mark Henry's there, and he wants to take a picture, and my barber's phone dies, and so Mark Henry has his buddy get his phone to take pictures and has him send it like to my barber so that he has him, and he shows me, and he's just the nicest guy in the whole world. And you juxtapose that with, you grow up as a kid in Texas. I did, like every kid in Texas in high school, I did powerlifting. And so this is 2001, 2002. Mark Henry had all the powerlifting records then. And our coach was like, yeah, you heard of this guy, Marcus Henry? And we all get this big grin because we know who he is because he's been on TV a while.
Right.
But no, yeah, he came in a similar way as The Rock, being this blue chip athlete that you got to see. He transitions over to the Nation of Domination, and he's their heavy. Then they have him do kind of the silliness with Mae Young, with the giving birth to the hand and the sexual chocolate and all that. But, you know, what happens then is really cool. Like, he wins Arnold Schwarzenegger strongman competition. And so kind of new life is breathed into his character, and he's doing all these amazing strong feats, not on the cartoonish kind of anime level that Strowman does, but, you know, still out there pulling trucks and throwing refrigerators around and all kinds of stuff like that. And, you know, the early part of his career was marred with injury. I don't think you're supposed to, even though he's super athletic, you're not supposed to carry that kind of weight and have the travel schedule and, you know, have the meal schedule that he would have. Because he was never, you know, out of shape. He's always maintaining that size, but it's hard to avoid injury, you know, when you carry that kind of frame. So you fast forward to the time that you're talking about where it looks like he's going to hang it up, he's going to retire, and, you know, he comes out, slams John Cena, and, you know, off to the races. You know, kind of before that is when you transition into this thing that I think the majority of the audience hasn't seen. Now, Palm, you're going to have to remind me, are we allowed to curse on this show?
Fuck yeah. Okay.
So my favorite meme right now is, and I actually tweeted this about Mark Henry. I said that, you know, I went from Nation of Domination our WWE writer tells him, well, Mark, you know, we've had you as kind of the blue chipper, and then Nation of Domination and the stuff with Mae Young and the World's Strongest Man. What direction do you think we should go next? And it's 21 Savage on that Noisy interview saying, I beat niggas the fuck up. Niggas don't want to fight no more.
Well, it's true, because that's kind of Mark Henry. Like, we could talk about, like, yeah, the versatility of the character, but the core of the character is, you don't want to fight me. And from day one,
and people haven't seen that is the thing. Like, I don't think that the WWE audience had seen authentic black badass. They saw kind of a Vince McMahon version of what that is with, even though I like the Nation of Domination, it's so political that it's going to push people away.
Right.
You have your Ahmed Johnsons, who is kind of in a similar vein. You have Bobby Lashley, who couldn't put 4 words together. You have Booker T, who, even though I'm a big fan of Booker T, they never really let him, like even from the jump, he's getting whooped by Austin in the supermarket, which he should have, but they always let somebody kind of get one over on Booker T, like Triple H, WrestleMania 19, until he switches over to King Booker and then beats Rey Mysterio for the heavyweight title. Like
Well, part of that is WWE booking. They always tout themselves as a babyface territory, but the business is best when heels are on top and the babyface is chasing. That's just always how it's been. And for a long time, because Booker was so likable, I agree with you. I think they cast him in that role. And while, of course, as a Sting mark, I'm okay with babyfaces looking buffoonish because there's not a dumber babyface in America than 1989 Sting. He's the dumbest man alive. It's hard for me to talk about, honestly, the straight face. But I think you're right. I think that the Mark Henry, particularly when he got that Hall of Pain run, when they kind of freed up the character some to go away from the jokey stuff and get more to like almost a Steve Austin kind of like a turn up the badass part of you to 11, because people say, oh, that's Steve Austin to 11. That no one is like that all the time. We all have sides, we all have facets. This was an aspect of Mark Henry that was allowed to be played up. And guess what? When Mark Henry's angry, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, not a lot you can do. Like and again, you got to see how athletic he was. You got to see how he could move. Just the impact that his moves had, and he was shit talking you the whole match. Like, it was amazing. It's just one of my favorite runs in wrestling for a singular character. Couldn't be happier for him that he's going into the Hall of Fame, because you never heard a bad word about Mark Henry outside of injury, and very little of that is something that you can control. Consummate professional, everybody speaks highly of him. A great representative for the company, being, a quote unquote true athlete. Just, he is the kind of, if you have a kid and want them to play sports, like you want them to be like Mark Henry, like you want them to excel.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever sport it is, you want them to excel, but you also want them to carry themselves with a certain level of respect. Yeah.
I'm going to let the fact that you're like 4'3" and a power lifter like just completely slide right now, because I do want to talk about I do want to smarten the crowd up to Mark Henry's shoot record as an athlete. So he won gold, silver, and bronze in the Pan American Games in 95, a 2-time Olympian 92 and 96. He was the WDFP World Champion in 95, 2-time U.S. National Champion in 95 and 97, all-time record holder in Raw, Squat, and Deadlift. That's insane. He's held the record for world record squat, deadlift, and total in the USAPL in the deadlift since 95. He's credited with the biggest raw squat and raw powerlifting total ever performed by a drug-tested athlete regardless of weight class, as well as the greatest raw deadlift by an American citizen. That's horrifying. And I'll tell you what, we can talk about all of Mark Henry's accolades, in-ring, out of the ring, the stuff he does as an ambassador for the company. Cam, this motherfucker bent a frying pan on television. Yeah.
You'll never have fried eggs in that. That's right.
They had him and as a kid who was a bit of a pain in the ass smark. I was like, that's a gimmick frying pan. Nope. Stories have come out. He did it backstage for fun.
It's insane. You saw Lance Storm get on and tell that story about, Lance Storm's daughter was getting to that age when she started dating. And he's like, yo, if you want me to answer the door at your house, I'll really do it. Like, he's great. He's fantastic.
It's good to see one of the good guys in a very not good guy heavy industry get celebrated for his accolades inside of wrestling, which people will say, oh, that doesn't really count. Well, it means the company has faith in you and decides to put you in front of people. Let's just go through this really quickly. I want to go through his WWE, not his run, but not the whole run, but kind of the highlights. He was ranked number 9 in singles wrestlers in PWI 500 in 2012, which is pretty good. He won the ECW WWE version championship one time. He's a one-time World Heavyweight Champion, a one-time European Champion, and a three-time Slammy Award winner, including, Feat of Strength of the Year in 2013, pulling 2 trucks with bare hands, and won a Match of the Year with Team Cena versus Team Authority in 2014 at the Survivor Series. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was on that team.
I didn't know that. I guess my Slammy knowledge isn't as strong as it could be. But
which is fine.
I think no one's losing any sleep over that one. And I'll say this: they're going to call this the Goldberg class. They're going to call this the Dudley Boys class, or someone calling it a disappointing class. And if you hate me, you call it the Kid Rock class. For me, whoever is the last to talk, this is the Mark Henry class, because Goldberg is a WWE creation. Because the Dudleys, spoilers, young kids, not a WWE creation. Kid Rock, I honestly don't know what Petri dish or trash can is. But Mark Henry was approached in 95 at the World Games by Vince McMahon and signed a contract for 10 years for $1 million. He said, I want to learn to wrestle. I want to entertain people. And it's very hard. Like, hear Kurt Angle talk about it. Here, anyone's gone from any sport where you're supposed to not show your emotion. You're supposed to play football. If you see a guy's weak, you try to break him. Like, you can't show emotion on a football field. To learning things like make sure you're going to hard camera and give them great facials so they know you're in pain or they know you're in distress or they know you're angry. And he adapted beautifully. He's probably the last dungeon vet to go to the hall. Shout to Owen. And do they say who's inducting him yet?
No, they have not announced who is inducting him just yet.
I have an idea. I think I know who it is.
Who are you thinking? Are you not going to let that go?
Wayne.
Man, I like offhand, like I'm thinking Ron Simmons, just somebody under the umbrella, but
he and Dwayne rode the roads together, man. Like, the fact that he still calls him Dwayne is the funniest goddamn thing in the world to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think The Rock does basic cable anymore.
Yeah, he'll send him a nice fruit basket.
No, he won't. He'll send him a watch. He'll send Godfather a watch. He'll send Ron Simmons a picture of The Rock signed by The Rock. Perfect.
All
right, lastly, I want to talk about someone who's made Mark Henry very upset. When Mark Henry's upset, you too should be upset, if only to be on the side of Mark Henry. Reports came out last week. On the same day Bryan announced his return, which I was like, way to bury the lead there, guys. Now, the WWE is in discussions with bringing back Hulk Hogan. For those of you who don't know, Hulk Hogan was... Let me do this. I want to establish my relationship with Hulk Hogan, because I had to explain the Daniel Bryan story and I had to explain the Mark Henry story a little. I don't think anyone listening, casual, non-casual, wrestling fan, hates wrestling, needs an explanation of who Hulk Hogan is. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in NWA and WCW territory, but I grew up in the 90s. So the Hulk Hogan of my childhood is the Hulkster. Kind of corny, kind of not really over with the crowd. I was always a Sting guy. But it would be intellectually dishonest for me not to commend and to recognize Hulk Hogan's contributions to professional wrestling. He was the forefront of both of the biggest boom periods in the history of the business, the rock and wrestling era of the 80s. And you can say, oh, Austin did it. No, Austin got to that babyface place because Hulk Hogan changed the industry and joined the NWO. And people can debate that all they want, but I've seen timelines. I know when these things happened. The NWO happened, and the entire industry had to react because the heels were now the faces. The faces didn't matter, and the entire way you booked the territory had to change. That said, fuck Hulk Hogan. Because Hulk Hogan is one of those people who he was obviously caught on tape saying some things and having sex with his friend's wife, which no one wants to bring up. Like, that's just, why do you want to know? Anyway. And you've had some people who either haven't heard the tapes or the tapes are so far removed from what they think about the situation that they try to downplay what he said. And I'm not going to read, I may have Cam read it later, but what he said wasn't, he didn't slip and say nigger once. He didn't say my nigga. He was bemoaning his daughter dating a black man because he wasn't rich enough to be considered a good nigger in Hulk Hogan's eyes. Which means most niggers are bad in Hulk Hogan's eyes. Which means fuck Hulk Hogan. He's never apologized. He's apologized for getting caught. He's apologized, but he also, won a bunch of money by being caught. Mark Henry stated very plainly last week that Hulk Hogan's not welcome back in the locker room. And honestly, as I look now at the diversity in the locker room, not just of race and ethnicity backstage, but kind of, this is a young locker room. It's not a locker room that's going to be... I respect the Founding Fathers. They put together a framework for probably the greatest civilization the West has ever seen. At the same time, while writing those Bill of Rights, all men are created equal, nigger, make me a sandwich or I'll kill you. Like, it's important.
I was waiting on it.
It's important to recognize that, hey, our forefathers did good things, but they may not have been good people. And Hulk Hogan probably created the climate we are right now, where Vince McMahon's a billionaire and WWE is a publicly traded company. So if they say they want to do business with him on some level, I kind of get it, but I don't have to like it. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to be quiet about it. And I'm not going to be, because now and forever, fuck Hulk Hogan. Cam, you've been fighting this fight for a very long time, and you're doing it on a much bigger platform for wrestling than I am.
Here's the thing, man. Like, you and Chris, I watch you guys on Twitter sometimes, and you just seem like the angriest people in the world. But like, what this has shown me is, like, you can only handle so much of the same ignorant feedback before it affects how you interact with people. Like, I think that comes with it. Like, this is the first time I experienced, in a negative sense, what Twitter fame can be like.
Right.
Because I don't bite my tongue, like, for anybody. I've never been like that. I don't, I value my spot at the Torch. I value what they allow me to do. But it was understood that when, Travis and I came into the fold, like, they tag our show with a not suitable for work tag, because we might pop some shit off. Like, it's just like that. And, I think we also have a guy at the head in Wade who, one is a Hall of Fame wrestling journalist. Like, that, he is one of the few people that actually hold, that status, but he also says a lot of things that people don't like. And so I think we're kindred spirits with that. But basically, somebody had a poll saying, hey, it looks like Hulk Hogan is in talks with WWE to come back. Do you want to see Hulk Hogan back or not? And instead of throwing out like a random opinion out there, what I did was just word for word say Hulk Hogan's quote, and let me give that to you, because I know that, you want it so bad. And now I have to find it because it's not coming up right away. Oh, here it is. Okay. So Hulk Hogan says, I don't have double standards. I am a racist to a point. Fucking niggers. I'd rather, if she was going to fuck some nigger, I'd rather her marry an 8-foot tall nigger worth $100 million. Like a basketball player. Fucking nigger. Now, all I did was quote that, and man, that turned into a mess, because there are some wrestling sites and wrestling pages that I'm a big fan of, that I think are great. And there's this one guy in particular, I give him so much credit for being so positive, because he has to deal with so many crazy people. He has to deal with so much bullshit, but he always finds a level head. That can turn into, we should forgive everybody for everything, though. And him and I don't rock on that. And I told him, I respect how you feel, and you seem to respect that I don't think he needs to be forgiven. Now, what we're dealing with, D. Palm, is a lot of people who have never been called nigger want to decide when to forgive somebody for calling you a nigger.
That's fair. That's an accurate appraisal of what I've seen. Yes.
And I don't, this is the thing, like, I don't have anything. I thought Hulk Hogan was a cornball. And even as a young kid, I thought Hulk Hogan was doing certain things outside of his personality to try to seem cool. I think Scott Hall is one of the most naturally charismatic people I've ever seen. I think Kevin Nash is up there too. And I think when Hulk Hogan got in with him, you saw how corny he was. And, to hanging with Dennis Rodman, and kind of proves his whole point about, you need to be 8 foot tall, $100 million nigga to be around me. He would just do things that never seemed authentic. And then this is a conversation, like you said, that he's having in private, but he's having it fresh out his homeboy's wife.
He wasn't stumbling over the word nigger. That's a guy, as Dave Chappelle once told us, that nigga says nigga all the time.
You can tell. He wasn't, people said, and this is another thing people said who have never been called nigger. I've said things in the heat of the moment that I regret saying after. D-Palm, I say nigga all the time. I've never been so mad I said nigger. I've never in life.
I've never regretted a nigga.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pull back on a nigger, but I've never said nigger. I've never hard-r'd out of anger.
Never said it with the intent to disrespect.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't flow.
I say this nigga at most of your tweets, so that's not fair.
And I deserve that, but I'm an individual. I'm doing nigga shit. I really am.
It's specific nigga.
Yeah, I'm doing nigga shit. But Hulk Hogan basically undermined.
No, not basically. He said,
"Yeah,
nigga,
I am a racist."
I'm a racist. Nah.
And you can't tell me, and Twitter told me he's not a racist. He just said something. No, he told me he's a racist. Do you believe Hulk Hogan or do you not believe Hulk Hogan? And that's what I want to know. But no, to bring it all kind of back, I understand that people want their entertainment. I genuinely do. And I am not the type of person who wants to legislate your wrestling. But when you ask me why I'm not a fan of this person being in their position, I'm going to tell you why, and it's very specific. He doesn't value me as a person, so he doesn't deserve my money.
And you know what? And I think that's as quick as we can make it. And I'll tell you this: I didn't grow up a WWF kid. I don't have those nostalgic fucking ties to. I watched WrestleMania 3. Trash. Work rate is garbage. Sorry, I don't get it. I don't want you to explain it to me because I don't give a shit.
It was bright lights, in a big arena. And that's, but.
And we get that on Mondays now.
Yeah. I don't have, there are very few things from childhood that are so valuable to me that I feel like I have to hold on to. Like people were like, Hulk Hogan saying nigger ruined my childhood. Well, no, Hulk Hogan was a guy on TV, playing a character because, you come to find out, like Hulk Hogan's reality show, that's not really how he treated his family. He had all kinds of problems. He had issues with his wife, which none of those things make him a bad person to me, but they let me know that I'm dealing with a full-fledged three-dimensional person. Right. And you wanted me to forgive a man in his 60s for being a racist is crazy. I know people can change, but they really can't. Get to a certain age where you're not going to be a different person. Because if you skated on doing this forever, why would you all of a sudden be different? Like, what is this faith that people have in Hulk Hogan to all of a sudden be a better person when you don't have any knowledge that he was ever a good person? Like, here's what I said. They said, what would it take for you to forgive Hulk Hogan? I said, look, Hulk Hogan has taken and taken and taken. Show me the link or the video of Hulk Hogan volunteering at, a black charity. Show me Hulk Hogan donating money to the NAACP. Like, show me something that shows that Hulk Hogan values black people. Anything. Not like I love everybody value, but I realized that what I did was detrimental to people, and I want to do something to improve that. I give a shit about your words because your words are what got you in trouble in the first place. I would need action out of you to feel different about you. And you know what? I'm probably never going to feel different about you.
I have a
that would take away like what I'm saying. That would take away my fervor for you because you be doing something to prove that you feel, you don't just say.
All right. I have a way that doesn't involve any charity.
It's a world's strongest slam, isn't it?
It's not a world's strongest slam. That's a working move. I want to shoot fight Mark Henry and Hulk Hogan. Mark Henry may be retired. He may have been injury plagued. Mark Henry's 46, Hulk Hogan's 60 something. He'll whoop that old man's ass. And then, and only then, once he makes change out of Hulk Hogan's $5 ass, I might think about forgiving him. And maybe make me a wallet out of leathery ass skin. Take an arm off. Give me a wallet. Like, I don't like that. And you know, you're right. Intellectually, I know that if Hulk Hogan were to put some works behind his not words, I would probably be more amicable to welcoming him or at least listening. But in my heart of hearts, I need to see him get his ass kicked.
Yeah,
At
I need
16,
your words to give him
16,
smoke.
that means no one whipped your ass for saying nigger before now. You earned one. I think we can all agree he's earned at least one good ass whooping.
Yeah. And that's true. Like you said, like if you to be that bold even in private, and that's a whole different conversation. Mm-hmm. People feel like because it was a conversation in private, we're not allowed to be mad about it. Well, that's the whole point. We would never say that in public. That's why we're mad.
Stop watching Law and Order. This is not that. I heard him say it because it came from an illicit means, which I don't even think is that illicit because his friend told the fucking tape. Anyway.
Yeah.
I will forever be baffled by that. If Gawker had more money, they should have won that case. It's fucking ridiculous. But I digress. If you're trying to throw a cape on for Hulk Hogan, all you're doing is signaling the people around you, I've said this or worse.
Yeah. Anybody who said it's time to forgive Hulk Hogan was never actually upset with him.
Yo,
they just needed time to change. Yeah, they needed more time to go by. Like you're not down for the cause. Like you don't value me the way that you claim to. But again, if you claim to value all people, you don't really value people. You value the idea of people. But yeah, you can get Hulk Hogan the fuck out of here. I told everybody, we're covering the Hall of Fame, in a press capacity. If Hulk Hogan comes out, I'm getting up and leaving until Hulk Hogan's gone. And anybody who wants the smoke, I'll absolutely be in the pit section in New Orleans so it can be smoke if we have to have smoke over Hulk Hogan.
First things first. Fuck you very much putting yourself over on my podcast. I don't need a press road. If he wants to fight me, I'll tell you where I'll be on press road.
I'm right there, baby.
Press road, bitches. That's what Cam, man, thank you for coming on. Thank you for discussing the three big topics I want to talk to. We're going to have more people from the PWTorch network of podcasts on later as we head into WrestleMania season. We're not doing a RambleMania singular podcast, but you'll get lots of takes, and I promise it's the last time you'll Cam for a while. Cam, you started a bunch of internet fights with the tag team tournament. Now I know you're organizing a cruiserweight tournament. What inspires you to make this many people mad at you at once?
I like the smoke, man. I'm here for the smoke.
In case you didn't hear, it's be on press row if you want that smoke in person. That's press row.
I think what it is, and I've expressed this, it was kind of a situation where we were treading water just for a long time on the East Coast cast. And, as somebody who came into the fold late, I wasn't on shows with Wade. I wasn't on shows with Bruce. I was the other guy. And so, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn Photoshop. I'm going to start making things. And I kept producing until they saw it and was like, okay, we need to have Cam on with everything. So it really is just practice. I'm absolutely, in love with the Usos as a team. They revived tag team wrestling for me, something I always loved. And so just what tag team would prosper in what era is kind of what jumped it all off. And then I just said, hey, I'm going to jump on Photoshop. I'm going to make a tag team tournament. And, it was March Madness already. And like we said, we don't care about college basketball because it's dumb. And also, sidebar, Reddit hates me because I think they know who I'm affiliated with. So my stuff used to get voted way up. Yeah, and now it's voted way.
I was like, the second they figure out who Cam actually is, it's over. This is Reddit. Yeah. All right, for listeners who aren't wrestling like nerds like us, Reddit Squared Circle is probably the number one place on the internet for wrestling. And Cam would parachute in before events with these photoshops that were well done, and they're much praised by our Reddit community. I'm like, they have no idea who he is. One day, and the other thing is, you use the same handle on social media, which is bold.
Yes.
I was like, someone's gonna search this name, and he's gonna be outed, and I'm gonna laugh my ass off. I'm just glad to know that day's here.
Yeah, it's about it for me, and I just I'm gonna post in Squared Circle. I'm at the Hall of Fame. I'm here in the front row. It can be smoke, and then
wow,
maybe that gets upvoted. No, but to circle back to it. So no, it was just needing to exercise that Photoshop muscle. Needing to stay creative, needing to produce, because you guys really showed me that having that artwork available, it draws so many more eyes to the things that you do. Like, I love your unanimous decision art. I think it's great. I love how Chris superimposes the previews for the YouTube videos. I just think visually it pops. And nobody from our team was doing that, so I had to start doing that. So, the cruiserweight thing is just, I don't want to stop. I want to make a new thing. And it was just less controversial because I caught so much flack for the Dudley Boys being the 4 seed in WWE and Edge and Christian being the number 1 seed and people voting out, the Freebirds. Like, I caught flack for that. So I'm like, you know what, cruiserweights, you guys aren't even going to know who they are. Rich is going to know them all, so nobody can get mad at me as long as I have Rey Mysterio on there. So, this one should be a bit more fun. And I love the interaction. It's helped with our social media visibility, knowing that, we're the place to come for these graphic tournaments. So, I just want to be able to produce for my team. I never want to feel like the weak link. So I'm going to keep making sure that I'm not the weak link. You
got to love that after putting himself over for about an hour, he comes out here and pulls the team player LeBron James bullshit. He just baby facing no sell, the Cam school of working. Cam, man, tell everyone how to find you, where to find you, and if you say pressure, I'm hanging up. By the way.
No, you're fine. No, Instagram, Twitter, it's going to be Seahawk, CEEHAWK. We do have a brand new Instagram page for the East Coast Cast. It's just going to be Torch East Coast Cast. I've learned from all the annoying comic pages and music pages and wrestling pages that if I put a bunch of content and pictures and edits and polls, people will look at them. So Torch East Coast Cast. We're going to make sure we keep you updated with all the wrestling news and rumors and cool pictures and stuff. So be ready for that.
You're like Fox learning all the wrong lessons from Deadpool. You're going to giving us a power pack R-rated movie. Jesus.
Bigger guns.
Well, thank you, Kim, for coming on. I might grab you via email. Let's get your picks for the big event once the full card's announced. But I'll try to decide on the front end what we're going to do in there. This has been Unanimous Decision. Follow us on Twitter at UDPod. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. You can follow the entire network on Twitter at the MTR Network. You can email us at UDPod, at gmail.com if you have anything you want to say to us, get off your chest. You can also leave that 5-star review anywhere podcasts are found, absolutely free. Make sure you go to Stitcher, use the code Tuesday, get a month of free. Listen to the Wolverine podcast from Marvel. If you don't listen to it, hey, enjoy your month of free premium on MTR Network. You're very welcome. Glad we could help. That was your show. This is your outro. See you guys later this week.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.